Oh my gosh. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
CPJ, Echo, thank you guys so much for being here. Jamie is running
Hello.
late today, so we'll just give him a little bit to hop in here before we dive into what the heck we are on this show tonight for.
Yes. Can y'all believe this mess?
I mean, this is some wild shit, man. Like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
let me just go ahead and put this out there.
Okay.
I've never watched Pirates of the Caribbean, whatever, however you want to say it.
Potato girl.
I mean, I've never watched any of it. Hey, Miss Joanne, thank you for hopping in here.
Hi, Joanne.
But I have known Johnny Depp from his days of 21 Jump Street. I've seen all of his scandal every now and then. So it's not like we don't know them. Amber Heard, I'd never heard of her until Aquaman. Didn't
You
even
never
know.
heard of her? Was
Yeah,
that a pun intended?
yeah, never heard of
Never
her.
heard of
never heard of her. Hey, Jamie.
How's it going?
It's going. Echo, Jamie, CPJ.
Yeah, Echo and I have met some at one point or another.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey,
Howdy,
Echo.
howdy.
CPJ. Long
Hey.
time no see, stranger.
Oh, I know. I'm a little burned today, so don't be like, girl, you've been sitting close to the sun. Yes.
As
Yes,
a matter
I
of
have.
fact, she has.
I have.
She's like,
Have you,
yes, please
have
don't
you
point
been
at me.
beaten?
Yes.
Do you need Do you need some makeup to cover
You
that
need
up?
some, what is it called again?
Milani?
Milani. Is that what it's
Was it Milani?
I
Yeah, it's
guess so.
Milani.
Oh,
You
okay.
need some
Okay.
Milani to cover that sunburn.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I mean,
does anybody else know what brand I have on?
sun.
No?
Right. The
UV?
Lords. I was going to say the Lord.
Oh, how
Yeah.
funny.
So, yes, Jamie.
Sorry, I came in late, so I'm playing.
Oh no, all I was saying was like Johnny Depp's like never been like full blown on the radar like he is now. And my whole
He was
reason
on the radar when he got married to Winona Ryder, but definitely for not the reasons like now or anything.
See, and then even then, it just kind of wasn't. Well, not a lot of famous people are on my radar. To be let's just go
be
back.
honest.
Let's be honest.
Unless they're a serial killer, they're probably not on your radar.
Yes, there
So we know
go.
for sure he's not that.
Yes, yeah, for sure. So I've just been intrigued, and I wasn't. I'll be honest, until Jamie started saying, "Have y'all been watching this trial?" And I'm like, "What trial?" And then he starts telling me about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, and I'm like, "No." So then I've just been catching tidbits and reading things, and I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, we have to talk about this." But we also have to talk about the female toxic levels that are going on right now in Hollywood. I mean, the slap heard around the world. That was a big one. I mean, yes. I mean, and then just different things here and there. I don't know if y'all saw, and Jacob Hamill brought this to my attention, the trial of Katie Quackenbush.
You have to remind me about
That
that.
sound familiar to anybody? It was not on my radar. So Katie Quackenbush is from Texas, shot a man in Nashville because he was a homeless man, because he was harassing her. He's a homeless man on the streets at 3 a.m. She hops in her car and he says, "Hey, your fumes and everything is bothering me." And so she felt harassed. He starts to walk away and she shoots him twice.
Hold on.
Really?
Yeah.
He starts to walk away,
Yes.
and she shoots him.
Yes. And then he claims that she said, "Do you want to die tonight?"
Sounds like a Johnny Cash song.
I mean, right? But anyway, so she gets some bullshit misdemeanor. That's like not. I slapped that hoe with a what you call that? Attempted murder or something? Because the guy
Yeah.
survived. The guy survived, but her dad's an attorney. She's probably a stripper, ex-stripper. I don't know. Anyway, she's not cute. Whatever, whatever that has anything to do with it. But
I'm like, hey, some of them are.
Oh.
No, I don't know.
yeah, no. So anyway,
He's not a homeless man I know because I'm in Nashville. So. Hope he's
oh my
Oh,
gosh.
wow.
Well, okay, so Google it
And
and
funny.
I know, oh my gosh, I gave money to a homeless man, and then I'm like, have a great day. And then I'm like, why did I say that? Why did I
You too.
I have a
Yeah.
family member who saw a person asking for money in the middle of the road. You know how like when you're leaving Walmart and they're standing there saying any little bit helps or whatever else.
Yeah.
I have a family member who looked at them, went up, rolled their window down, and said, "Your sign's upside down. You might want to turn upside down. I think you'll get a better. I think you'll get more that way." And the person was like, "Oh, thank you." And they said, "No worries, thanks." And then rolled the window up and drove off.
Tip of the day. Tip
I
of
was
the
like-
day.
The after school special.
Did you give them a 5 or anything? And they were like, "No, I helped them.
I gave
turn
them
their
my
sign
2
upside
cents.
down." I was like,
But
okay.
So originally I had reached out to JD McCabe. I don't know if y'all remember. I interviewed him. He wrote the book "My Dance with the Devil and Her Mother." Anyway, so I had invited him on, and he had said yes. I messaged him pretty late and let him know that we were coming on at 8:30. So I don't think that he's going to be here. But Jamie, I had taken the liberties of taking screenshots of the, what are we calling this?
Toxica estúpida.
Of the toxica estupidas levels that he gets. I mean, and this is attacks from male and females. So I kind of wanted to start with his slideshow of the things that, because he's a male sharing his story, how he was done wrong, and just how rude that he is. And again, it comes from male and females, just the comments that he gets, like, and so I shared that. I wanted to see if we could bring that up, Jamie.
In our text earlier this week.
No, I just shared it like in our group messenger.
Oh, the video.
Yes, it's
Okay, all right.
it's a quick little
There's no audio,
slideshow.
right?
No audio, no.
Okay.
I tried to make it slow so we could read it, but it just amazes me. Someone trying to share a story and people come on there and the things that they tell him. So that's why I wanted him to be on tonight, because he has experienced this as a victim, and but because he's a man, he shouldn't be a victim. And so
Well, and it brings up a point while Jaime's trying to get that brought up. I'll just say something that popped into my head. You just said that people are attacking him and giving him their negative opinions about him being a male victim. It just goes to show again that, I mean, honestly, how much more toxic can this world get?
right.
How much more toxic and opinionated can this world get about things that truly do not involve them?
Right. Exactly. I mean, the thing is like there's songs that are written, like being toxic is now like the in thing.
The thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's songs that are written in Spanish and English and maybe in other languages. I just know those two and that's what I hear. But yeah, there was like, you little toxic thing. I love it. That I can't be on my phone. I can't like anybody, but,
Yeah.
and so we praise it. So we're like happy with it. And so I think that's what's made our culture the way it is today.
Sure.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
And so these are screenshots from his thing. It's like, are you insane? What are you showing your kids? A little crazy. This is embarrassing for you. How old are you? And you post this, really? Nothing but a gimmick to sell your book of BS. Just stop. Why put this on TikTok? Dude, I got it. You were abused by your wife, but this is not having news value unless you're Johnny Depp. And then you're kind of the a-hole for blasting this to get revenge. Lame. Go get a job and quit trying to live off your divorce. Move on. And so, anyway, it's just wild to me that he gets this kind of stuff, and then the fact that these people can't spell or grammar correctly is
Wow.
beyond me. I mean, it's just like you can say anything these days and just get away with it. But he has a little segment that he likes to do is called "Feeling Froggy Friday." So he responds to some of these messages, and so he says stuff back, and then of course I feel froggy, and then I respond to people too because I feel like I know him, and so I can defend him, I guess.
What is his handle on his platform so we can follow him?
Let me go look at it because I think it's a gift. Hold on. I don't want
I'll look for it. You keep talking.
So anyway, so that's why I wanted to bring him on. Like I said, he, if you guys don't remember, his wife was cheating on him. His wife was giving him arsenic in his what is that called? Oh my goodness. In his protein drink. And so he was losing weight and he didn't know why he was losing weight. And anyway, so that was another thing too that comes up. Oh, you can't make your own protein shake. You had to have your wife make it for you. It's like, why, if your wife wants to help you make it, why not? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Why would you question it? You know,
Yeah.
he didn't have any reason to question it. He didn't know. And so,
and I thought at one point he was even saying that the arsenic was put, I thought it was put into the powder, like the big jug that he had.
in his protein powder. Yeah.
So even if he didn't ask her to help him, or you know what I mean, even if she didn't make, if he made it, he was still getting poisoned.
Yeah, it's so, you know, like I said, it's I've seen stories where women go out and share their stories and just the amount of compassion that they receive and, oh my goodness, good for you for putting it out there. But the minute he does it, it's, you know, especially that one where he's like, quit making money off your divorce. He's having to pay alimony. She was awarded alimony, even though there was so much evidence that she cheated on him. She has all these STDs. He doesn't have a one. But even still then, these courts believed what she had to say. So.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just mind-blowing to me. So that's why I wanted to have JD on. I really would have liked to have had his input. Because like I said, he responds back to these people and these comments. And he doesn't let it get him down, obviously. But still, you know, it's just shitty. People are shitty. You know, everybody, you know, and like Tammy, thank you for hopping in here. She sent me a message earlier and she said, male or female, victim is victim. You know, you're just because you're male does not mean that you can't be a victim. And Tammy, I hope you don't mind. I'm going to read what you had sent me because I think it's super beneficial for everybody to hear what you said, because you do some work with victims. And so here's what she had sent me. She said, I'm glad you chose Johnny Depp and Amber Heard for your show. I work a lot with domestic assault victims, and probably 98% of the time, if the victim is male, they refuse to move forward with charges, refuse a protective order, and even if the state picks up charges, they become extremely hard to work with. It all comes down to the way society views men, that they somehow should be embarrassed, male or female, victim is victim. And so thank you for that, because that's so accurate, and it's sad that a male can't be a victim because society says you can't be a victim.
I mean, there's the saying, crazy ex-girlfriend for a reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly.
So I can't post anything about the third gift or JD's Twitter accounts or anything like that. I don't know why it's we're just unable to. So anyway, if you just go to the third gift,
and I think that's his TikTok handle as well.
It's thirdgift.com. So if you go to thirdgift.com, you know what I'm going to do? Third.
Well, the thing is I got, the show was flagged this week because of his interviews. They said we had copyright violated stuff, which we had his permission. So I think that's why. Oh.
And I put his name in there too. So.
The party has arrived, I hear. Jacob Hamill. Thank you for joining us. So, and I think Jacob said he was going to troll, and I hope he means share stories because he knows all about crazies, I think. Right, Jacob? Just kidding. I don't know if Jacob knows any crazies.
So, if there's folks here who don't understand, I think it'd be a good idea to describe what male toxicity is, and because that kind of falls under the realm or an umbrella of what you're talking about, Sandy.
Yeah, go for it.
I think helping people gather what that is a little bit, because you've done good at giving examples. So do you want to tackle that first?
No, you go for it. I'll let you.
Okay. So male toxicity, toxic masculinity. We're gonna get it eventually right.
I'm rubbing off on you. I'm sorry.
I know. So it's okay. But let me give you just a couple of examples, and then we can just chat a little bit about it. So this would include things that are, men should be mentally and physically tough. So no crying. They should handle things with aggression. I know sometimes when my kids are hurt, I always feel like I want to be aggressive towards the people who caused them harm. But in actuality, is that really what they needed? Like they need a parent to go to jail because, you know what I mean? Someone hurt them.
Right.
And no hate on the people who, whatever.
Who go to jail for their children.
Right. I'm not saying that they shouldn't. All I'm saying is that's another sign when the outside world, not when it comes from the individual. So imagine me being here, exposing my feelings and sharing, but then everyone else on here is just talking about how tough I need to be, how I need to man up, how you have to be aggressive, like we were talking about. How I have to be able to be self-sufficient. Don't share my feelings. I shouldn't see a therapist. All those things that you can think of, all that leads to toxic masculinity. We're going to get this right eventually.
We should have posted a sticky note.
You're right. So all those things lead to toxic masculinity. And it's just a way where the society, like Sandy was saying, society believes men should act and behave a certain way just because that's what's always been and whatnot, And so...
And you say that and it makes perfect sense because so us growing up, my dad's from Mexico. We, like even as kids, I would remember him telling my brothers, don't be crying, man, you're a boy, boys don't cry. And so because I was raised with 4 brothers, so I also was not supposed to cry either. So, and I couldn't be a little girl and scream if I saw a bug or anything like that. So basically, I'm a man. Just kidding.
Especially now that you're 40.
Right, especially now that I'm 40. So Jacob says, I won't actually troll. Sandy, we literally talked about what I know about crazy today. You just missed it, but I didn't mention your name. Dude, I cry all the time. Ghostbusters Afterlife. Okay, maybe not all the time, but a healthy amount of crying. There's no crying in baseball.
I thought the same thing.
But, can we cry in baseball?
I do.
Texas Tech's making me really sad right now.
So, it's really tough. And I really feel like, it's hard. There's no one point of articulation from this. There's many of them. So it doesn't come from any one person. For example, like a lot of people say, fathers are really the progenitor of this type of stereotype. And honestly, it may not be. I've been around family members who are like, men are supposed to do this and this and that. And then it's like, I don't really fit some of those stereotypes. And it could be that I wasn't raised with my father in the picture and it was my mom who was around. And so there's a lot of, I don't know what to call it, but I get excited because tonight, for example, I was at a baking class and I love to bake. Everyone knows who's watched shows. I love to bake. So I go to baking classes. That's my thing. That's my jam. I'm not apologetic about it. But I know when I tell my dad, I'm headed to a baking class, I know that's probably not one of the,
He's like,
moments.
He's like, yeah, that's my boy.
I'm sorry, you broke up when you said shooting class.
But how encouraging it would be to be like, to hear that CPJ seriously, it would be kind of cool. But and I get it. I get that those type of things, and I'm not alone in that. I see a lot of men who dabble in different things than what we would say is traditional men roles.
Right.
Activities.
So like, just a side note, we were in Mexico one time and my dad mentioned to my grandmother that my then boyfriend washed dishes. And my grandmother was like, oh, no. He does not need to be washing dishes or anything like that. And I'm like, listen here, a grandmother. Like, I work, he works, we all teamwork in this household. And so my grandmother was just like taken aback that I dared to tell her things like that. But then I still have raised my boys that we all help around this house. Like, we all wash dishes, we all do laundry. Like, I'm trying to forever break those stereotypes that I grew up with. And to a certain extent, there's nothing wrong with how I grew up. It's just that I didn't want to continue that. Like, I don't want to be like just women in the kitchen and, men outside. We're all doing everything. We're all going to be, look, I ain't going to push a lawnmower. I ain't going to lie. But still, like, that's still Eric's job, and throwing out the trash. But still, there's things that I will do. But Eric helps cook. He helps clean. He does stuff like that. And growing up, my dad did too. My dad helped my mom cook and clean, and I don't know if he'd appreciate me and letting everybody know, but still, we did have an example of that as well, even though he was kind of more macho in a sense. Hey, Rod, thanks for hopping in here. But anyway,
So if we were talking about
careful.
toxic masculinity, right? We're talking about that, but we told everyone we were going to be talking about a couple other topics. So how does this wrap into some of the people that you were going to talk about tonight, Cindy?
So this wraps in to Jada and Will. One, because of the toxic things that she said publicly and humiliated Will, which led to, I believe, what is now a turning point in his career, in his life, that's led him to where I don't think that he would be otherwise had she not said and done the things that she did. She announced publicly that she'd had affairs and that she'd wished her marriage was an open marriage and that her husband did not satisfy her in bed. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. That's humiliating. Like, the fact that you did all of this and why you came out and said it is beyond me. And this isn't trying to paint Will in a, you know, as a saint or anything like that, because I'm sure he had his fair share, but he also wasn't bragging about it like she was. And so I feel that because of her toxic nature, this is why we have the Will that we have today, which I don't feel would be had she not said the things that she did. And I don't know if anybody else agrees with that.
Yeah, Echo, what do you think? What do you think about the Will and Jada?
Well, I mean, I'm just, I don't know. It's all messed up, and I think that is he still in India right now? Like he just like trying to find himself or something, like going to see gurus or something. Like, I mean, yeah, like if somebody like if my husband came out and publicly said that about me, I mean, I'd probably be doing the same thing. I want to go like hide under a rock or something. But yeah, I would say that would be humiliating to anybody.
Yeah. What do you think, Jamie? Carrie?
I really do stand on a firm foundation that our tongues either speak life or speak death. And that's the end of that sentence.
Yeah.
And I think that she has done nothing but speak death over her man.
And her marriage.
In her marriage from go. And I think I genuinely believe that the more toxic your relationship is, whether it be an intimate relationship or even a work relationship, whatever that relationship looks like, the worst of you comes out. And while you are declining in how well you are doing mental health wise and how well you're giving of yourself and all the things, you're also isolating and you're also closing and you're deflowering, if that makes sense. You're just, and he's done that, and it's been very obvious. It's been obvious with his choices. It's been obvious with the language that he uses. It's obvious. I mean, I remember Will Smith from back in the 1990s, and he was all like high-fiving everybody, going, "Oh, I'm the rapper that doesn't say bitch. I'm the rapper."
I remember, like the 90s Will. Like, can we have him back, please?
Right.
Yeah. He high-fived everybody saying, I don't speak ill of women. I don't call them bitches or sluts or all those things. I don't say cuss words in my rap songs. I don't talk like that. I don't need to talk like that. And everybody was so yay, yay, yay. And then here comes Jada, and
it completely changes.
Yeah. I mean, I genuinely believe that in I truly believe, because I stand on a Christian foundation, that we are the women in the relationship is to breathe life into our men. I really believe that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
She just doesn't.
Jamie, please go ahead.
I saw that. I was like,
I know.
There was a reaction.
There was a reaction.
I was just messing. Well, so I think Will is he needs to be held to his responsibility, regardless of the background or past. Not everyone is doing the exact same thing that he's doing and slapping folks.
Yeah.
So I think first, absolutely, he should be held responsible for his actions.
Yeah.
Secondly, that's not to say I don't disagree with you either. I do think there's some culpability that there's stuff that happens behind the marriage we don't know, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
what we've seen publicly, it does seem pretty damaging, right? Like,
Right.
I know me as a man, as a husband, I've been married for 18 years. That would do something.
Yeah.
That would do something. And I wear my emotions on my outside. I can't hide that stuff for too long. And he didn't look like he could hold it together. And I'll be honest, I feel like things have only been in the spotlight since they came out and talked about that, right? When she decided to do her table talk on that topic.
Yeah.
Before that, you heard little things here and there. The kids were, different, and so, but it really didn't get as much until after she had announced that. So I think he's responsible. I think she holds some culpability, and there should be some, I don't know what to call it. I don't know, repercussion, whatever towards her.
I mean, I don't think there needs to be repercussions for Jada for Will slapping Chris Rock. That's all Will.
That was all Will.
But I mean, divorce. How about that? I mean, I know that I'm just very blunt on that, but at the same time, like, I just
be married at the time. There was a time she didn't want to be married to him, she said.
I mean, I don't understand.
When they got married, it was because I think that she was like pregnant and like it was like something her grandma had wanted, and she like talked about crying before she even got married to him. And so obviously there's some regret there. And like maybe this is like a good relationship that's set for like divorce. Like, I mean, maybe stop trying to make it work or be together for the kids or whatever it is. I mean, obviously they've had issues for a long time. It hasn't just been like, it wasn't just this year.
No, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that's come out of that marriage behind closed doors for the people that are truly impacted by their marriage, which would be their children and their family members, the only thing that's come out of that is generational curses. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
You're
going
right.
back to what we were originally talking about at the beginning, I do think that for the toxic relationship in there, the toxism, whatever you want to say, that would kind of permeates from that. It goes to, from my perspective, in my words, my choice, there's a lack of respect that she's showing him publicly.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So imagine if that's a public
Yeah.
showing, I can't imagine
Right.
what goes on behind in private.
Did y'all see
Yeah.
there was a
High
TikTok,
five
right?
on that.
There was a TikTok that Jada was doing with Will. I think this was either 216 or 219. But she talked about their therapist, and she has the camera on him, and he's like, "Hey, stop that, please! Like,
Yeah,
don't do
I
that.
did
Don't
see
bring this
that.
into my house. That I have my social media. It's my one thing that I do to protect." And his social media, he's usually always giving positive vibes out there. That's what he's known for. And he's trying to tell you, he's like, "Get that out of my face. Don't record me in my home, please. Don't do that." And
Yeah.
she's totally not
She's not listening.
at all. She still keeps that, and she even makes fun of him, right? She even says, "Yeah, you can see how well the therapist has helped, right? Doc, we need you, obviously."
And it's like all he did was say don't record here. That's all he asked her. I mean, it's not like he like shut the phone down or anything like that.
Yeah.
He just asked her, and then so she goes on to make fun of him, and I'm like, yikesies. So I've always said that when you are looking for a partner, you need someone that will help you build your empire, not someone that will take instead of give. And I've known people that are in those relationships where the person is so toxic that all they do is mooch, and then still have the audacity to be mad at that person or don't speak with your family, or don't go out, or you can't do this with your family. I personally know those people, and that is draining, and I don't see how. I guess I don't understand, and I don't want to understand why you can continue in a situation like that.
I think the bottom line is on that, and I truly say this out of love, because I've been in a situation One time in my life, I have coupled up with someone that was toxic. One time. And
Coupled
I
up.
didn't
You
see
got
it.
entangled with someone who's
I
toxic?
It
got
was an
entangled. Yes.
entanglement.
An entanglement. And I didn't see it. I did not. And I was 25, 6, 24, 25-ish, so I wasn't 12. And I'm thankful that if you can't tell, I'm thankful that I don't have self-worth issues. I'm
Right.
thankful that I
Amen.
don't have
Amen.
I don't have shame talk. I don't have those things telling me that my value is less than, because I really think that if I didn't have the positivity that I do stand on and that I'm rooted in, I would have continued inside of that relationship.
Mhm.
And I kind of wanted to touch on this earlier, is that it was a relationship that was built on alcoholism, or the relationship wasn't built on alcoholism. He was an alcoholic, and I
Okay.
didn't see it. I flat did not see it because he was happy.
He
I
was a
thought
happy,
alcohol.
high functioning.
Yes, I thought alcoholism meant negative. I thought it meant you're in the gutter, you're holding the homeless sign. That's what I always thought, because that's what Hollywood showed me. I
Hmm.
didn't know.
Mhm.
I really did not know. I was not around that growing up,
Mhm.
and so I just thought he was fun. I thought it was just kind of like Johnny Depp and Happy Hour anytime. I really did,
You
until it
got your
wasn't
makeup
fun
hype.
anymore. Yeah, mega pint. And until it wasn't. I thought that we were just getting to know each other, having a good time, going out on dates and drinking beer and drinking wine every day. I really did. And until it wasn't fun anymore. And thankfully, by the grace of God, I mean, I seriously was praying. We were planning a wedding. I
Oh,
had a dress
wow.
bought. I had venues picked out. I had the whole thing. And I remember looking my mother in the face and saying, God is going to have to intervene, because I am too afraid about what he is going to do if I stop this. And I'm going to have to run down the aisle in front of everyone, because then he won't chase me.
Hmm.
And I'm a strong person. I can't
Hmm.
imagine having the shame talk and all the things. And it took him putting his hands on me and whipping the fire out of me in my parents' home one night. One night. And I did. Lord, thank you so much for allowing that to happen. I remember listening to Johnny Depp's depositions and his testimonies and stuff this week. Listening to him on the recordings talk about, just cut me, I don't care. I remember being in situations with this fella and going, if I bang my head hard enough and knock me out and it puts me in the hospital for a week, that's 1 week. I don't have to listen to his crap.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I can't imagine being in a deflated situation where I didn't have um, where I didn't have strength, because I am a strong person,
Hmm.
and it infuriates me about Amber when she talks about, oh, I don't know, I can't remember what he's done, I don't remember what he did, I'm gonna do this, oh, but no, you remember when you got your butt beat, you
Yeah.
remember when you got your hair ripped out, you remember wondering if your teeth have been knocked out. I remember the smell of that blood down my face that day. I remember it. And
Yeah.
I'm triggered 16. You can see it on me. 16 years old. I slept with a knife under my pillow for a year, wondering if he was going to bust through the door of my mom and dad's house. And that was one time. I can't
Yeah.
imagine years and years and years of it. That's my story.
What about you, Echo?
But
Well, I mean, I was just kind of like taking all in what Carrie said, and I'm sorry for what you went through, but I mean that does, like, I mean, it's a valid point of like why doesn't she remember, these situations? Like I've been in some, I mean, drug and like toxic relationships that revolved around drugs and alcohol in college, and there was just nothing positive that came from them. And like, I mean, not that I had perfect behavior, but it's just like, there's just sometimes you get with another person and it's like an explosion or something, and
yeah,
you have to like get out of there. run away. But yes, I mean, any of my experiences, I also would definitely remember to be able to like say details or what happened in my experiences. So yeah, the fact that she can't remember those things, and just the fact that she's on record saying that she hit him, she didn't punch him and stuff like that, but we don't have any proof of that Johnny ever hit her. I mean, it's a little
Right.
concerning, and we just live in this culture where we're just like, oh, okay, like the girl gets to you know say whatever and it's believed, whereas I mean, I think that yeah, like I think guys get abused and they don't speak up just because they're embarrassed, and
Sure.
I mean, this is a big issue.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely, and I think even with what Amber is doing, I'm not saying that Johnny, and I want to go back to what I was saying earlier that, and Echo said it so beautifully that, you said your behavior wasn't great inside of that relationship either. I know mine wasn't either because I was fighting back. I was in fight or flight mode.
Right.
And I was on constant having to defend myself and constantly having to make sure I crossed every T, dotted every I, so that I wasn't saying anything wrong. I was spitting my toothpaste in the sink correctly. I mean, it was that ridiculous. But again, I wasn't aware of it at the time. I was going through those motions, but I didn't see it. I mean, it was weird.
Did your parents see it? Or did you shield them from it?
My mom saw it. My mom saw it. But because of some of the behaviors that my older siblings had, or some of their journey, she said that she was going to allow me to figure it out for myself because she thought that if she brought it up, that it would push me closer to him. And that she was thankful whenever I was communicating that I was ready to leave, but or didn't know how to get out without him having a World War III. But what I was going to say is that what concerns me here is that Amber is doing this, and I understand her and Johnny both live in a very entitled world.
Right.
Whatever they
very
say
different
goes.
from you and I.
Very different, exactly. Very, very different. And if me and Jaime were walking down the road and I decided to punch somebody, he's going to stop me. He's going to say something to me. He's going to say, that was wrong. And when the police officer's like, did she hit it? Yeah. We know that Johnny's bodyguards, their job is to protect him. Their job is to keep their mouth shut. They all sign those things. They all sign those waivers. I truly believe that. All the celebrities get to do extra little things. But at the same time, though, he has 50 years prior to her of people saying never once did he ever get violent. Never once did he. Yeah, did his mouth get a little sharp with her? Sure, absolutely. I can guarantee you my mouth gets sharp too. My mouth, I can hear it. I can hear it in my tone right now. I can't imagine that night.
Right.
But I think that what she's doing is she's setting a standard and she's pushing the women back years that have finally decided to walk through this Me Too movement, that have finally decided, okay, I am going to stand up and I am going to speak on my behalf. And it may be 10 years later, maybe 15 years later, because I finally have the confidence. And she's stripping that up from underneath them because now people are going to be even more, yeah, right, little girl.
Yeah.
And
I agree wholeheartedly.
I don't like that.
And that's the thing is like that he lost, some of his big contracts he had, like for movies and stuff. But yet she has seen no consequences thus far, and yet his name's been smeared through the mud, and he's now known as the wife beater. So
yeah,
I mean, what consequences does she get if it turned like, because we can see there's probably abuse on both sides, whether it's physical, mental, whatever. Obviously there's drug issues, and that never leads to a healthy relationship. So I mean, what consequences does she see? Like, we're in this culture where like women, they don't see any consequences for their actions.
But the thing too is she taunted him and said, go ahead and see who believes you. And that makes it even worse because she knowingly pushed him to that. And I don't know if you guys saw one of the pictures that they presented, and it's like a beautiful composition. Everything was positioned just so perfectly, and even John little
His
and
cocaine
so
box.
and so it was just like everything was in line just so perfectly. Like, okay, I've only seen this in movies, and usually it's not so clean and set perfectly where it fits in your camera thing. So to me, just in what I've seen, it's like everything was just being set up. Like she was taking pictures, the whole ice cream thing. It's like she was planning this. She was planting evidence, and
Malicious.
yes, like she
And
had.
so is the image you're referring to, just so the viewers know, is that the one where there's like lines of cocaine and her driver's license and her cup in it?
Yes, there's like 2 cups of
Okay.
whiskey, and then there's like a driver's license. There's like a snorter, a professional snorter, not a rolled up dollar bill. There's his
Dollar bill, y'all.
Yeah, I know.
A bedazzled snorter.
Yeah, it was bedazzled, and it's crazy how it was just perfect. And that's the thing, is like she could say whatever. Even though she took the picture, she probably set it up, because he's like, well, that's quite the composition there. And again, this is not to paint him in the sainthood light, because we all know,
Yeah.
if unless you've been living under a rock, we all know that he was a drug abuser, alcohol abuser.
Very active, yeah. Very
Yeah.
yeah.
And so it's not anything that's like not facts
Yeah.
that he's
Yeah.
done before, but
He was
anyway.
definitely
But-
flying his flag for drugs for a long time.
yeah.
But I also like, to Carrie's point earlier, is like we don't have like any of his ex-girlfriends. Like, you would think, like, if he was like a wife beater, like that there would have been some
Been
kind
a
of instance
pattern.
in the past, and there's been nothing for Johnny. But like, yet Amber had that incident at the airport with her ex-girlfriend, and so it's like, I mean, I feel like, yeah, drugs kind of make people crazy, but I would feel
Sure.
like, in the past, like 40 years that Johnny Depp's been doing drugs and dating women, that if he was a wife beater, he probably would have, like, hit somebody or done something before now that somebody could attest to. And it's just not like everybody that's dated him is like on his team.
Yeah, and that's pretty crazy, because I mean, to get everybody to be an ex, especially to be on your side, it's kind of. I mean, I don't think it happens very often.
I just think that there's way too much opportunity, especially in the past, with like all the NFL players and NBA players, that no tolerance for domestic violence that they have in those sports. I can't imagine him being in the arena that he's in, around so many other celebrities, especially men, that he would get away with that kind of behavior for years and years and years and years.
Right.
Because they all say he was always late on set. They had to deal with him with his drug hangovers and things like that. They've all talked about that.
Yeah.
But all of them, and I say all, that's not a fair word. A lot of them, even before this, have said what a great guy he is. He's amazing. He's humble. He's kind. He's all the things. Like, let's all be best friends.
Because you see him doing like charity work and stuff, he's always, all the stuff that has come to light about how charitable, and, not a lot of celebrities of his caliber are out there doing what he's doing.
Yeah, and he's doing it without asking for recognition.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely believe him, that he doesn't care about the cameras. I really believe him. I really believe that he doesn't care about. He's not calling the paparazzi to say, I'm going to leave my house and go down to you.
Right.
Like the Kardashians.
I'm going to go to Starbucks and pet a child.
Yeah.
It's a photo op,
Yeah. Yeah. Jamie, you've been awful quiet. I feel like you're formulating a good opinion.
You have
and
a
ready
lot to
share
say
it.
now, don't you?
So while I appreciate the things that y'all were talking about, one of the things that kept running in my head is like, and not necessarily in a negative way. It's just like, like earlier we're focusing on Amber, and I guess what I would interpret as her diminishing the spirit of women who want to share and tell their stories, right? But in the essence of today's show specifically, I do want to take the lens off of that and be like, the real lens right now is should be on how someone like Johnny is unable to share his story without public opinion attacking him. And let's not, I'll be the first one to stand on top. You know, when the allegations originally came out, I abandoned. I'm quick to do that kind of stuff when it comes out to, you know, when I hear that kind of stuff, because I do think I see media wise and just news and everything. I do see that, you know, women are underrepresented, mistreated. They get the short end of the stick, the glass ceiling that's there for them. So I do think that all those things. And so when I hear someone cry abuse, I'm going to listen. I have 2 daughters.
Sure.
Heaven forbid my girls say something and I'm not the one who's going to listen or advocate, or I'm going to be the one that is the number one. You know what I mean? I'm going to be the ride or die first. So I get that. But in the same vein, if a man does it, you know, my original heart was, I was like, man, this sucks. I really like Johnny, you know, and I'm like, that really bites. So, but okay, I have my own high horse I need to stand on.
You're like, oh, there goes Will, now Johnny.
Right. But then, you know, some of the allegations. So when their divorce happened in the UK, and it was like, oh, whoa, wait a minute. There's some stuff that was coming out, and I was like, maybe Johnny wasn't as bad as I thought, or something. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, okay, now I'm not sure who to believe. So now we fast forward to the defamation trial, and now it's like, okay, I'm going at this with a clear mindset. I'm not trying to hold whoever, because I just want to know what's truthful. And my opinion through the trial has been is like, man, I'm sorry, Johnny. You got a bad rap, dude.
This bitch cray.
That's not to say that he's. It's not to say that he could not have abused her either, though.
Sure.
All I know is from the trial, there's lack of evidence, and there's evidence against her. Yeah, and there's evidence, in my opinion, against her, and it's just like. But I think again, the piece that I want to focus on was that we have a man here who wasn't able to share his story properly and was, you know, hung by social jury and work, however way you want to say that, but, you know, work didn't believe in him.
Yeah.
Whether it was right or wrong, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying the fact that it didn't, and it caused him a lot of damage, a lot of emotional, mental strain, and all that stuff. If this had been a woman, if Johnny was a woman in the role reverse, just like with Amber, we would have totally given him our hearts and everything from the beginning. And that, to me, is the key from tonight, is that men do not carry that same weight as a lady does with that type of knowledge, or, you know, however way you want to say that. The poor guy, men, and I've met other guys who are like, this sucks. My wife has our children, and she is not fit to be the sole provider. But because we live in a state that always defaults to the women first, she gets custody of them. I've got to pay alimony. All, you know, 60% of my check goes to them, and I'm not anything. But I'm still expected to take care of them, and I want to have them every week, but I can't.
Yeah.
And then they withhold them because they got mad because you're out dating. They withhold the children. And I mean, just so many other things that women can use against a man. And so Eric is
automatically
saying
believed.
Men don't get the benefit of the doubt.
There you go, Eric. Thank you. That's.
And then also, I think like the media, you know, like they were on Team Amber at first, and the media has a lot of power, and so, you know, like she wrote that article for the Washington Post or whatever, and, you know, everyone gave her the credibility, and that was a big platform for her to get that story out. And so I really think that, you know, like as a culture, we need to change. And also, like, you know, the media needs to change. Like you were saying earlier, that we need to like just come at things with an open mind, you know, whereas like the media tends to skew things for us sometimes.
See, I don't even believe it's the media, though. I don't believe it's the media. I believe that's what I'm saying. Social opinion. Raise your hand if you'd have been pissed if Johnny didn't have any repercussions after Amber's allegations. I sure would have. had Disney.
Well, I wasn't
continued with the
invested.
rest of the,
I wasn't invested, so I had no
whether you're
idea.
invested or not, if you'd have
I
just
had no
learned that a
idea of
man,
any of the allegations.
but what I'm saying is that
Well,
you didn't need to be invested. If you had just heard that a man had done those things, but he was still being carried by, there was no consequence. Let me just say, like,
look at the NFL. Like, there's so many instances of, and we
cover-ups.
still watch football, and we don't like call out to cancel those people.
Isn't it weird?
So, like, why is there a different, like, why is it different between like like actors or whatever or football? Like, why is that? Like, why should that be any different? It's weird.
I agree with you.
That's a good point. I think that as a social media, well before social media, I think that we as a nation hold our celebrities up to this hierarchy where we think that their political stances are gospel. I mean, how ridiculous. Half of these people haven't even gone through high school. Like, why on earth do I care what they think about who our president is? Honestly, it drives me insane. I don't care about any opinion that any of them have. They aren't. I really don't. And
they're not God, and a lot of people hold them to a whole different level, which and also to a whole different level of consequences. Going back to Will, I mean, he should have been done like anybody else. That's an assault, and you're gonna get in some sort of trouble for that. Assault is assault is assault. But he didn't. Nothing happened. Nothing came of this.
And because Chris didn't want to press charges, I'm like,
well, the state should have picked it up.
Exactly.
Yes, and that brings up the point about this particular trial. That remember the police officers, I think it was LAPD, went to the penthouse, and they were looking at Amber, and they were like, "There's nothing." And I was listening to every word they said and echoed it. Like, I think you've been watching it really well too. So tell me what you think. They said, we are required that if we feel like there is truly a domestic violence thing, that there are certain protocols that they have to check these boxes on them. And there were 3 officers, I think, that were interviewed. I know for sure 2, and said, we didn't see it. That's why we didn't move forward with this, because we didn't see it on her. We did not.
They had no evidence that there was something.
They had no evidence.
Wrong.
Even if the way I interpreted it, that even if she had said, no, I don't want to press charges, but she had visible
bruises,
injury to her, that they would have had to report something.
And
done something.
And all they found on her was just she'd been crying, right? That's it?
Yeah. Crying. Yes. And so that's what they said.
They're like crying and a red cheek.
Red cheek, yeah. And so all of them said, that's why we didn't move forward, because I was wanting to see, because I was kind of like Jaime. I was like, oh, I want to be Team Johnny, but at the same time too, most abusers are very charismatic, and so I've wanted to see. So I wanted to hear from the first responders who do have an obligation to err on the side of a victim, and so I wanted to hear what they said, and all of them said, and they're not getting anything from Johnny on this still.
Right, and they have tons of experience going out to domestic, so it's not like it was their first rodeo either. Like, this isn't their first night on the job that, somebody, so.
Yeah, they even said that they think that, I don't remember if it was a police officer, if it was one of, a commentator, in the middle of a trial, said that police officers respond to domestic violence calls the way they respond to traffic violations on the road. It's that often.
Oh, wow.
So they have that much experience. It's that much experience, and it's constant.
The first officer was a lady. I can't remember her name, and then the second one was the man. He said that
they always have to be on high alert for the domestic violence.
She said that because they're like, why didn't you? Mm-hmm. Why weren't you like had a weapon or something, flashlight to check her, and something else? And she was like, why would I put myself in a position where I couldn't protect myself?
Yeah.
She was like, I would want to keep my hands free so that if something, she was like, you never know when you go to these domestic,
for sure,
issue places. And she was like,
so it's not like you and me walking in there to a domestic violence call, your sister going, oh, like, really, these people are experts. They're experts the way a cardiologist is for a heart. And it's, I mean,
Yeah, it really, I really struggle with the whole with the idea that, and it's so weird to talk about it, right? It's so weird to talk about it openly. The idea that men should be treated just as equally and fairly as a lady when reporting any sort of domestic, again, specifically thinking about domestic abuse and
Yeah.
abuse in the home and things like that. Like, it's so challenging, that it goes back. We're tying this back. I'm tying this back to toxic masculinity, because that's the idea that men shouldn't be whatever. So when a man, calls the police, for example, to say, hey, she's hurting me, she's physically assaulting me, or anything like that,
Yeah.
they don't get the feeling. I'm gonna make sure I own my feelings, because I don't know that this is fact. I feel as though it's difficult for a man to be able to share those things. Heck, it's hard to share those things with other men.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Like, there is a part of me that I'm proud's not the word, vindicated in a sort of way that Johnny's doing this and going through with this, because there's that piece. Even though I'm not saying he did not abuse her, that's not what I'm saying, because abuse can look without looking physical. Abuse
Right.
can happen
It can be
without
verbal,
physical.
emotional, for sure.
Right. So, but I do think that men should be allowed to speak and say something and be taken with seriousness. And just like a woman needs to be taken with seriousness and validating their story and to go above and beyond to make sure things are okay, I think it just needs to be the same way with men.
Yeah, and I think that it's going to have to go all the way down into our homes, where we, even maybe as women who are the nurturers, the ones that are okay to feel. It is okay for a woman to feel and to have emotions and to emote and to talk about feelings. We need to speak that life into our sons and into our men, to say it's okay to talk. It's okay to teach our sons that if a woman ever puts their hands on him, and how to respond and how to handle that.
There was I don't know if you saw this. It circulated a while back, where it was just talking about a mom and telling a son, telling her, like, daughter's boyfriend, if you ever put your hands on my daughter. And I'm like, well, what about the women that put their hands on men? Like, the come at me's, like, I dare you to hit me, that taunt them and then call them all sorts of names, and then they get hit, and then I'm like, just deck her. She wants to I'm just violent, just hit her, because at this point she's hit you, she's bucked up to you like a man. Then just, man, I would not be a good man. I would be hitting women. I just tell you right now, because it's just, I mean, you can't buck up to a man and call him all sorts of things and expect him not to say. And kudos to the man that doesn't rise up. But in the same token that we tell our daughters, don't let a man hit you, men, don't let women hit you either. And I mean, my boys, they know.
I think it's also got it's like an onion. I think there's other layers to it as well, right? Because it goes to other things too, like, why a man crying in public or in area or at all, like, that's frowned upon, or why a man, the whole idea about sharing your feelings. Like, I feel absolutely comfortable crying in front of people and sharing my feelings. I do not personally feel like that demasculinates me. I'm secure in who I am. I was at the cooking class. They gave us these little scribes that were all bedazzled and had jewels, and I was like, look, and I'm in a room full of ladies. I'm the only man in there, and I'm like, look, Sandy, that was the name of the woman who made these. I was like, this is like the fourth time I'm going to ask, can I get one that looks a little bit more masculine? I'd appreciate. I'm secure in using this little jewel, studded whatever, but I would just like something that looks a little bit more like me. So that matches me. So you see what I'm saying? So I think it's more outside than just being able to asking for help. I think there's so many layers that's involved, where it makes a man look like you're not a man when you don't do these things. You can't cook on a barbecue grill. Yeah, you don't have a dog.
I think one of the best things that can come out of this on behalf of men is Amber have some major repercussions. I sent a text to Sandy the other day and said, I think this gal needs to have the same problem or whatever happened, consequences that Jesse fella had, crying wolf and saying that all this XYZ happened to him
Jesse
that didn't
Smollett.
happen. Yeah. She deserves to have the exact same thing because she wasted the authorities' time, according to the authorities, not Harry Patton Jackson, and have all the same things.
So here's the thing, though, and I would put a caveat on that says if she's found guilty.
Yeah.
Because I'm not 100% convinced that she's 100% guilty. I do believe that she's grossly misrepresented some facts. That's my opinion based on everything I've heard. We still have not heard her testimony. And we're still going to be here for a few more weeks. This isn't
That's so
done.
crazy.
It's still a few more. All we're doing is still exploring Johnny's side. So just to paint the picture for you guys out there, Amber had put out an op-ed in the Washington Post a few years back. Okay, that caused Johnny to lose Pirates of the Caribbean 6 and all his other. He was going to do like 3 or 4 more movies, maybe even 6 more if I remember correctly.
Disney was he gets $25 million each.
Yeah, Disney was going to build this entire empire on Pirates of the Caribbean. He gets fired for this, so he loses, and he has 1 or 2 more movies after that, and then he hasn't done a single movie since then. This is 17?
18.
18, thank you. And so anyway, so he comes back out eventually saying, "Look, I'm suing you, litigation against you for defamation. You run my name through the mud. It's not true, and now I'm losing all this work and money and livelihood because of you." So she came back and she said, "Nuh-uh, I'm countersuing you for the same thing." So he's suing her for $50 million. She says, "I'm suing you for the same thing for $100 million now."
Yeah.
So that's why we have to go through the court of Johnny's part first, and then after that's complete, then we get to hear Amber's side, and so we get all the same people are going to come back and be witnesses for her, plus other people. And I'm following a few other people also, and apparently there's some. I hate to put it this way, there's some juicy bits that have not been said yet that should come from Amber, especially during their Australian trip where that's where his finger got cut off. God, yeah. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so that's why I'm reserving my judgment, because I know that there's supposed to be some big bomb drops later. I don't
like
know
against Johnny or against Amber.
Against Johnny. So Amber's part hasn't been done yet. So when they start calling her witnesses and her testimony, there's supposed to be some bombs that are going to drop that's against Johnny. So I don't know what they could be. I don't know if they're going to be as bad as we think they would be.
Is it as bad as shitting the bed?
Oh my God.
Is it as bad?
So I've been watching the whole trial for the last 11 days. For the most part, I'd say about 85% I've been able to listen to live. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When I heard that, I had to stop what I was doing at work. I grabbed my phone and I rewound and I messaged Joe and Sandy and I was like, "Oh my God. Oh my God." And I even recorded the clip and I forwarded it to them because I was like, this was out of control. It's like, what?
And then the memes have been out of control. But hold on, let me catch up on a couple of these comments.
Okay,
so Eric says her lawyers come off as incompetent.
Yes, Eric.
I mean, he did object to himself, so there's that.
Except for today, Eric. If you're watching today, I feel like I called Sandy earlier. I was like, "Look, I can't stand Amber's lawyers.
Oh, I can't stand that woman."
He just won't stop objecting to everything. But if I was going to court, I'd want him as my lawyer, though.
Gosh.
Have you seen the little videos of like Johnny doodling and showing them to his lawyer?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So Tammy says police officers can fill out a protective order when they are on the scene of a domestic violence situation. So if they can, but I think in a lot of instances they don't, though. Is it because someone says to not to, or they
don't want to file anything, right?
They don't want to file.
That's what I thought it was, Tammy. Like if there's no, I don't know if witness is the right word, but if there's no one to say, like with Chris and Will, right? If Chris doesn't want to press charges, the police can't do anything about it. So in the same sense, that's what the police officers were saying. They were like, a lot of times they go out to these, but they can't do anything because one of the partners, they, you know, in the domestic cases, they don't ever want to press charges. They don't ever want to continue it. And then they treat them cold. They don't talk to them. They don't answer their questions. They turn their backs on them. Yeah, there you go. And so the police officer's like, we can't write anything out because if no one's going to corroborate this or verify this or anything, then it's no good. It's a waste of time.
Yeah.
But correct us, Tammy. Correct us. Help us fill in the pieces.
Joanne says domestic abuse goes both ways, and both sides should suffer the consequences for their actions. Agreed. Totally. Tammy says they can do it even without the consent of the victim. Even if the aggressor goes to jail, the magistrate can put one in place. So I feel like
California special. I feel like
she's here in Texas. She's Texas.
Well, this was in California, right? Yeah, because this was the LAPD that went out there to their house.
Went to the penthouse, yeah.
Yeah. Twice.
So,
maybe even 3 times.
I have a question for you guys. Like, I mean, so I did a little bit of research into like Amber Heard's childhood and then also into Johnny Depp's, and like, you know, he was talking about how, you know, he saw basically his mom abuse his dad, and then Amber basically saw her dad abuse her mom, and, you know, they both came from, you know, bad childhoods that involved violence. And so, like, I mean, what can we do, like, as a positive for our kids to make sure, you know, that, like, you know, I have 2 sons and you have 2 sons, and then I also have a daughter. And so it's like, what can we do to make sure that, like, that, you know, our men are heard and seen, and then also, like, what can we do personally to, like, fix this culture? Like, personally, what can we do or suggest our viewers to do?
Good point, Echo. Good point. You know, I often ask my daughters, just to get straight to the point, I'll often ask my daughters if anyone's been picking on them right at school or anything like that. And then my curveball to my kids is what would be against that norm is like, okay, so no one's picking on you. Great. Are you picking on anyone? Like, I'm really serious. How do you talk to your friends? How do you interact with them? And so I get detailed with the girls, and I do ask them those things because I think that all of us would agree, for the most part, we think, is anyone picking on our kids? But do we ever ask, are you the bully in the picture?
Well, because parents don't recognize that sometimes they're raising little assholes, and that's a thing. You know what you're raising. You know.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. You know what you're raising. You know what's in your house. If they talk to you the way they do to you, then you can imagine how they act at school.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that is one way, Echo, like that help. I think it's helpful because it makes me ask an uncomfortable question.
It opens up conversation.
And I don't know if you met Sandy. You were watching that series, right? Based on the person who, through text messaging, was telling her boyfriend that he should kill himself, right?
Yeah.
In that case, I mean, she wasn't guilty for that or whatever, but in my house.
Oh, she was guilty.
Oh, she was? Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, still the same thing would apply, is that it goes back to, you know, I think there's that protection that we think our kids are perfect and whatever, but I don't know. Sometimes our kids can be little freaking.
I know that I was a shit, and I know that I, at least for sure, I got one shit. My other one's, he's pretty docile compared to how I was. So, and I know my one was wild for sure.
Yeah.
But I feel like as a parent, you know, and to your point, Echo, just communicating and being honest and open.
Yeah.
Back when I worked at CPS a long time ago, one of my cases, because I was a case aide, I went out and did parenting classes. That's pretty funny. We can all insert a laugh here.
I'm reserving mine for the future, please.
Now we move to doodles.
Yes. So one of the cases that we had, the daughter, the stepdad had punched her and broken her socket. Ew. And in return, she was beating people up at school. So you can never tell whether your child's going to be the victim or the abuser. And in this instance, she became the abuser because of that. But I just think communicating, and obviously not, I mean, having a healthy argument, but definitely not being physical with your significant others, you know?
Yeah, and Sandy, that's a really good point. Matt and I don't do, obviously we don't have knockdown drag out fights at our house, but we have healthy arguments, and I don't have a problem with having a disagreement
Nice.
or a fight, in front of Madeline. I really don't, because then she can see how we make up.
Right.
Because not everything is Hollywood, not everything is Disney Channel, not everything.
Not everything is resolved in 30 minutes.
It's not, and Matt and I do disagree. I'm very opinionated, and we're going to talk about this right now, and he's not. He's a sweep it under the rug kind of a guy until he explodes, and I'm not. I want to talk about it now. And so I push. He goes. I push some more. And, but Madeline sees that, and she sees it, and she sees how well we love.
Right.
And she sees how well we disagree also. And
Right.
she sees when we disagree not well. And I know that that's not for everybody's home, but that's what we've chosen to do. Because I'm not going to name names, but there are a couple people in my life that a parent has passed away, and they thought that their parents' relationship was just absolutely perfect, beautiful. Nothing was ever wrong. There's no fighting. And then all of a sudden, boom, 45 years into the marriage, and you've come to find out one of them didn't get to live the life that they wanted to live. They didn't get to say what they wanted to say. They didn't get to.
I could have always been a choreographer. I thought that way.
I think that it's okay to teach your kids how to love well and how to have confrontation well also.
Right.
Echo, I was thinking in the responses, I was like, man, sorry, ladies. I was like, I don't know that that's the answer. And then I thought, I don't know that there is an answer. I don't think we can do anything to help it. And then I thought, well, that's being so negative and non-productive. And then, it makes me think is like, I can remember when the girls were younger, and I wanted to make sure that people felt, at least in my circles, in my vicinity, people felt like they were being treated fairly and equally and loved when I was around. And I wanted the girls to see that. So I can remember something as simple as when people with a bunch of tattoos would show up around, would never be weirded out, and in fact would try to engage with them and be like, oh, those are really pretty tattoos, or those are really dope, or whatever. And so the girls, when they were little, and I remember I'd be like, look at the beautiful art on their skin and stuff. And then years pass, and the girls would always be like, whoa, daddy, look, they're so pretty, that rose is pretty, or that whatever it was. And so they would just do it on their own. I can remember when people, like the girls even today, they're in their teens, and we see people on the street, and they'll still be like, Dad, give them money. Hurry, please give them money. And I remember that came from, teaching them that we got to give to others whatever we can, when we can, if we're able to, So I think staying on the positive side of things, it's like, it's making those small adjustments, like forcing yourself to put a lens on some of those things. So in the examples that we've been talking about tonight, forcing ourselves to put a lens on, it's okay for boys to cry. That don't make them feel, whatever, or it's okay if he wants to bake a cake, that's okay.
Yeah.
If you and for the girls, if you want to like monster trucks, there's nothing wrong with that. Whatever the stereotype.
I went
loved
shooting
monster
today,
trucks.
and you went to a baking class, and I went to shoot guns today.
There's a start.
There you go. So I think I would amend my thoughts and answer to.
So,
to
and then
forcing that lens.
going back to that, y'all know that I'm the world's okayest parent, but one thing that I can tell you that I've never told my boys is boys don't cry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or to man up.
Or to man up. Maybe I did man up when they fell and scraped their knee, like, bruh. Or they fell and, like, it's fine. Stuff like that. Like, come on, just put some dirt on it. But never say, hey.
But I would tell that to my daughter, like,
I say that to Madeline.
Are you hurt or are you scared? That's what I kind of tell my kids sometimes.
I like that.
Did that hurt or are you scared? Like, did that scare you?
Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah.
I think it's just learning to not be the voice in the back, like your parents' voice. Like my mom comes out very often, or used to when the boys were little. And so I just, would made it a point to not be that. To be
Yeah.
not there was anything wrong with my mom, but just some of the stuff that she would say. Hashtag be a man.
And I
Eric,
also,
no one can be a man until they're 40.
Right, Eric. So you're still 3 years away.
You got some time, Eric.
I
like
also
what
like
Joanne-
what you said, Jamie, about your girls, that you're like, okay, so are you being bullied? Or then you're like, but also you're open enough minded to be like, okay, are you bullying anybody? Whereas a lot of parents are really close minded.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
I think that's great.
I know a lady, she's an older lady, maybe in her 70s, and she's a bus driver here in town. And she had a kid that would come on and bully her. And she, to the point where she'd cry. This is a
bus driver?
70-year-old bus driver that this kid would bully. And she reported him. And the parents came on and said, well, you're just attacking my child because you hate my child. Instead of listening to what she had to say. She's, she didn't report anybody else's kid but your kid, and you're calling this lady, all sorts of things. She just would say, I just pray that he's not on my bus route. And so she's had him for the last 2 years on his bus route, and just makes her laugh a living hell. And these are our kids. Not mine, because I'd beat that ass.
Right.
That's
right?
that's a generational curse I ain't breaking. Chancla all the way. But that's what
So-
Joanne said. Break the generational curse and instill right and wrong.
Yeah.
Were you looking for something, Jamie?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Keep going. Let me give you a little bit.
Echo, I think I interrupted you. Were you going to say
I
something?
don't think so. No, I was
Okay.
just saying that I loved how Jamie was saying that, like, he actually has his eyes open that his kids aren't perfect. And I think that's probably, where a lot of parents go wrong is just
Yeah.
thinking their kids are perfect. And I love also, Carrie, that you were saying that you and your husband will, carry out, not like breakdown fights, but like,
Right.
have disagreements in front of your daughter just so that she knows, like, this is a healthy way to have a disagreement, not,
Yeah.
and not just think that, like, marriage is like happily, like you get married and it's happily ever after, because
Yeah.
honestly, like, it never is going to be that way.
No,
So I loved that about what you said.
We do
And
not
then,
frolic through the tulips all day.
and then Sandy was just talking about not raising little assholes. So
Preach, girl, preach.
Okay, so I do.
that was also very good.
In talking about how my kids and my daughter and stuff like that, right earlier. So I do want to point out a couple things because I feel it's only fair for me to make sure I'm holding her up in that area. So she had came to me earlier this year and said that she had ran for the GSA leadership board, which is the gay straight alliance at school, and that she was voted as vice president for the club. And I was like, what? And then there was an award she came home with where it said that she had been entered into her team's Hall of Fame for the year. And so this is what her friends had said about her. And it said, Eva is helpful and kind. For example, in social studies, she helped me with the assigned learning I didn't understand. Eva is not a bystander. She speaks up when others do not. When there was an altercation in the hallway, she tried to get others to calm down. She was the first to ask me my name and asked if I wanted to sit by her group in the cafeteria. If not for her, I'd probably still be sitting by myself. Since it's 8th grade, many already have their friend group, and she noticed I was new, and she chose to include me. Eva is responsible and does the right thing, even though it's uncomfortable and sometimes difficult. She has a great sense of humor, makes others smile, appropriately she loves to help people. She's a great listener and cares about other people's opinions. There are times when she might seem a bit gruff told him she did, okay? But she's caring and funny and only wants to help and support the needs of others. These were
So
all
clearly she
different.
takes after me.
Right.
So tonight I got news, or earlier today, this morning when I dropped her off at school, she gave me news that she had been nominated for Student of the Year.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, I got a letter yesterday. They said I was being nominated for Student of the Year. And I was like, you? Are you sure it came to the right house? Are you sure? She was like, fucking dad. But but I'm confused now because she told me she was nominated, but then my wife sent an email out to the school earlier tonight and said to reserve us spots for the awards ceremony. So then I'm like, does that mean she got the award? Did she miss?
Maybe they're announcing it?
Maybe they're announcing it. Yeah, I better not get too ahead of myself.
Kind of
Anyway,
like homecoming?
Yeah.
Have your speech ready.
I'd like to thank all the little people here. And echo, so I digress. Sharing these things because it does help validate, I feel like, that I am doing something right, because that is what I want. I want people around my family to feel like they're equal, that they deserve to be treated kindly, justly, and when they can't speak up for themselves, that we're going to help them and we're going to love them that way. So I'm like, man, jeez.
So I just want to let y'all know that Cade sleeps through the night. Hate to brag. He hasn't bitten children in a long time.
How many
He's like,
how many months old is he now?
425 months.
Yeah. Let me get my calculator out and see how many months old that little baby is.
And how many inches long?
He's 192 months.
But yeah, so I do hope that there is some. I can't wait to see the rest of the trial between Johnny and Amber and see what happens. I hope that righteousness wins in it. I don't know if I'm being petty on this part. I do hope that Will gets something. Oh, let me say this. I have a hard time with all these people and any kind of outward thing that they have to do, because I'm like, they're all actors.
Yes, I have that block. Yes.
I cannot believe anything that they say that's emotional or whatever, because I'm like, you get paid millions to do that. To
perform.
So, unfortunately, I can't go by any of their testimony as far as like the emotional, or any kind of.
The giggles are serious, though. Those are real. When those dang lawyers are so incompetent and he's like, well, in the interest of saving time, and they're like, it took you 5 minutes to find one piece of paper, but you can't let me finish one sentence.
So I have to ask, since we've all watched, who's been y'all's favorite witness?
The doorman. Oh my god.
That doorman did not want to be there. Did y'all have that feeling?
Sandy, did you watch the whole thing?
Yeah, I didn't watch the whole thing. No, I didn't.
Gosh.
Get off here tonight and watch the whole thing.
It's worth it.
I was laughing so hard, I was wheezing, and I thought I was going to void my bladder on our bed.
I was at work and I was like, oh my god, did you just... And then I was like rewinding and I was
he's like, nope. No, I don't even know what I had for breakfast.
I did see that part.
Nope.
Yeah. He's like, I don't even remember what I had for breakfast. I'm like, there.
And he was like, I'm going to be honest. I don't even want to be dealing with this anymore. Like, he's like, I'm just going to be honest. I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Vaping on there.
And
so was it a live or was it taped? Was his live or taped?
A taped deposition.
He was in his car.
Yeah, and then at the end, he's driving while giving his deposition. Like he's still
Sadie, you gotta
talking
watch
and
the
getting
whole thing.
questions. And then when they finally end, the judge even goes, was he driving? Was that weird? And everyone's like,
yeah.
Can we tell Joanne where to watch this? She said, where do you see all of this? I'm out of the loop here.
Just go to YouTube, Joanne, and you just type in Johnny Depp or Amber Heard, and you're just going to see everything. I've been looking at two sites. I've been looking either at the Independent, that's the YouTube channel, or CBS. That's
And
just
know
a
that
common one.
I'm watching it
People-
on Court TV because I stream from
Oh
Roku.
yeah, Lawn
So I've
Lawn
got,
Court.
Court TV is the app that I stream from.
Okay, so it's all over YouTube.
Oh my gosh,
Joanne.
Eric, you're ridiculous. Hashtag fecal
That's so gross. So, go ahead, Sandy. Sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, Eric, how would you react if I had pooped the bed?
He's like, I've already looked
out
at
of
it.
anger, out of
like-
anger.
Out of anger. Let me
feelings
end that
of-
sentence.
or-
Out of anger.
He's like, I'm gonna drink a mega pint and do another.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, see, just tidbits as we're kind of whatever. Anyway,
Yeah.
so I cannot stand that she has been recording stuff, and I don't know what that is about. In my mind, I'm like, because again, nothing you say on or do impacts me at all. Maybe
Yeah.
what Johnny's doing that does, but as far as you're concerned, this is to me. This is an act for you. You're just putting on an act. I can't trust what you're feeling, saying, or doing.
Well, especially
Right.
because
The
of her
camera's on.
because of her diagnoses too. I mean, let's not skate over that. She had. I mean,
Oh, that was good. That day, I was doing cartwools. I was doing
That gal was
cartwheels.
good.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh!
And when Amber Heard's old lady lawyer was like, nope. When she said, well, can I address that? No.
So okay, she had been saying that she had PTSD. Amber is saying she had PTSD. Okay, post traumatic stress disorder.
and she had like 28 of the 30 symptoms according to the test that she took.
But and the problem with the test that she took with not her doctor or whatever was that she was too good at having PTSD.
Yeah.
Not too good. That didn't come out right.
No, she's a great actress.
She had too
Give her a
many
Grammy for that
qualifiers.
test.
Her
Yes.
qualifiers were
Yeah.
going a little bit overboard.
So even people that do actually have PTSD don't have that many qualifiers is basically what
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So
Yeah, you have to have like 5 or something like that. And she had 433.
yes, to be
Yes.
exact.
So the doctor was like, yeah.
all right.
And so, but what did come out was that she has 2 personality disorder issues.
She's borderline personality disorder and then the histrionic personality disorder. And so that one is characterized by a pattern of excessive attention-seeking behaviors, usually beginning in early childhood, including inappropriate seduction and excessive desire for approval, according to the Mayo Clinic.
And the lady said, and they're normally very shallow, very vain.
And she's sitting there just taking notes like, this bitch talking. Yeah, did you see her face when she was taking those notes? She was
Yeah.
aggressively taking notes.
She was. And I've been watching her chest, like the breathing. And-
What was... Okay, so some of y'all watched the
And then
body
her-
language people. What did the body
I've
language
been
people have to
watching
say?
them like crazy.
Okay,
I've
so
been
what did they
watching
have to say?
every-
Because I haven't seen that one.
they said that she is showing a lot of contempt. The twitch in the left cheek
and
is just a sign of contempt. And then this, yeah, that's
and she's doing some smirking sometimes at times where she
Mhm.
would the idea is that what was just shared seems damaging about Johnny, and she's smiling and smirking at that as though she's got this
Yeah.
power over him.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, but she
One of the
smirks and then
first-
she goes right back into like the sad pose. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have seen that.
oh,
The
and
acting,
this,
yeah.
one of the guys that I've been watching, he was like, okay, at first I thought it was just weird, but after her appearance yesterday, he was like, she's copying his attire from the previous day. He was like, I told myself, I was like, if she comes in with her
What?
hair in a ponytail, that's because Johnny had his hair in a ponytail. And sure enough, she had her hair in a ponytail and she was wearing the same colored suit that Johnny was the previous day. It's not the same suit, but you know what I mean?
But
And
similar.
so, yeah. And so he was like, okay, she's just copying now. She's been copying him for days in a row. And I was
Interesting.
like, I need to go back and look
Does
at
that mean something, I wonder?
I don't know yet. I need to go back. I haven't been able to listen to the guy that I listen to who does
So-
who reads the body language. So
So did you catch when they were asking Johnny? I guess he's like, "Well, he was telling Johnny, "Was you're a whole lot bigger than she is," and he was like,
yes.
"Well, I don't
he said,
think
I wouldn't
so."
say that.
She was like,
Her face went.
Yeah. So
Okay, so one of the first. Okay, I don't know if y'all were watching from day one, but I was watching from day one.
I was not.
Okay, I told Sandy I was already watching some other court stuff, and I was like, you know what, I want to watch like a real trial from beginning to end kind of thing. And it just so happened that next day was the start of Johnny and Amber's trial, and so I was like, oh, I'm going to do this. I didn't know what I was about to get into. I just was going to watch it because I wanted to see how a courtroom is. That's it.
Right.
yeah.
So one of the first outbreaks of the trial was, I think it was like on day 2 or 3. It's going to get a little convoluted, but I'll try to do it tight. Amber's girlfriend is sitting in the row behind her.
Oh,
okay?
yes.
But here's the thing. All of Amber's friends, family, whatever, they're sitting in that front row. The judge finds out, tells everyone in the front row to move to the back row because that front row was originally reserved for the for the other, help me out, lawyers and all the
For the paralegal staff and everything.
The legal team, yes. So the legal team, that was supposed to be who was sitting there. When the judge found out that the legal team wasn't sitting there for Amber's defense or whatever, she ordered everyone to go to the back of the row. So everyone goes to the back row except Amber's girlfriend, who happens to also be a journalist. And I cannot remember the name of the journal right now. It just slipped my mind. But anyway, so she's a journalist for this company. During the trial, I can't remember the woman who's sitting on the witness stand. She's giving her testimony. In the middle of the thing, you see Amber's girlfriend hand the phone over to the lawyer. Lawyer shares it with Amber. The lawyer stands up. He kind of does the whole outburst thing. He says, "We need to cut. That witness is no longer good." She's tweeting during the testimony, which the judge said that no one could be doing.
Right.
So then they take the phone to her and they show her, the judge, they show her what the tweet was. And it's a picture of Johnny kind of like that. And the tweet is like, "We support you, Johnny. You'll get through the trial and you'll win." And, all just that kind of stuff. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a picture of him. They show it to the judge. The judge looks at it, looks at the witness, tells everyone, she starts admonishing people, gets the witness to get out of there, tells what's her name to go sit back down. The next day, it comes out that the picture that Amber's girlfriend showed to the judge was a picture from the years before when the divorce court was happening in Britain, and the girlfriend had cropped the picture to remove the date and time out of it, added it to the post that the witness was putting on, and gave that to the.
What was she trying to accomplish with this?
To get the witness thrown off the stand and to discredit. Well, not official yet, but it would have discredited Johnny and his team and gotten the witness thrown off from their testimony.
Okay, so the witness supposedly had tweeted this out.
Yes, but they did tweet it. They did, but they tweeted it years ago during Johnny's divorce court hearing in the United Kingdom.
Oh, now I'm with you.
So it wasn't anything that he had done. She doctored it to make it seem like it had.
Yes.
That it was a current.
Yes.
What a bitch.
The judge was pissed.
See, the shit like that, you need to go to jail. That's tampering with evidence.
And so she didn't, but the judge said, "Oh, but it was so good what was happening in the courtroom because the freaking attorney, that guy, again, he's coming here and he's like, he keeps saying something to the effect of, I have no idea about that. I have no knowledge of that. I have no whatever." And the judge is getting pissed. Yeah. But the judge is getting pissed, and she finally goes, "You don't need to have any knowledge. I'm telling you what's happening here. This is what happened." She cannot be in the courtroom for the remainder of the trial and kicks her out of the room. And I was like, you just kicked her out. You should have held that woman in contempt, threw her in jail.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Contempt, court, fine, do something. That's a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, and mostly because the judge threw the witness out. And not to say that the witness was going to make or break the case, but at the same time, she had to stop giving testimony right in the middle of it because the judge had told her she had to be kicked out. Because when asked about it, the witness was like, "Yeah," because it was on her Twitter. It was on the Twitter. There was no secret. But Amber's girlfriend had doctored it on, showed it from her phone, and Oh man,
See, that
was the
pisses
first
me
one,
off.
and I was like, oh snap.
That
This is gonna
pisses
be a
me
good
off that
trial.
she didn't have any consequences for that.
Yeah.
And maybe she did, and they just haven't exposed it or whatever you want to say. You know, maybe she did.
Let me catch up on some comments. So Joanne says, "Oh shit, she's a mess." Rod, she said that's true. She's been copying him for days. Oh, Rod, so you've been watching too?
And
Awesome.
Rodimus would pick it up because Rodimus styles.
Because Rodimus styles.
Yes, he does.
So Eric says, I bet if he gave her the option, she would get back with JD today. Yeah,
I think so
because they're
too.
crazy. Because they're crazy like that.
I don't think
Joanne
so.
says, I watched Judge Judy for courtroom experience. Haha.
Yes.
I love Judge Judy.
I like
I
that
do
too,
too.
Joanne. But I
I
wanted
love
something
her.
that was more. I thought would be more serious or real, if that makes sense. Like, you know, what normal would people go through or whatever. Normal killers and lawbreakers or whatever. So, but I'm glad Rodimus caught that because I wouldn't have caught it. I didn't catch it. But
Yeah, I wouldn't have either because I know that they try to make them look very innocent in their dress and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just like that stripper today. They
Well,
make her
I've
look
been
very
surprised that
innocent.
she's been in like black and things like that because she did look softer and more
like the victim.
when she was in her off
she looked
nights and things
victimish.
like that. Well, I wouldn't say victimish, just softer, just like a
I'd say
pastel color.
victimish.
But I will say today though, so here's something. Here's an observation I made today on the trial. If Johnny's not careful, I think he's going to start coming across as very like he reminds me like it's almost like he's giving off the vibe, I've got this in the bag. What's that word I'm thinking of? Like if you're not careful,
Home
you're
run.
Yeah,
Counting his chickens before they hatch.
Maybe he today for the first time since I've seen in the trial. Today he was looking a bit confident and
cocky.
Well,
yes.
I would be too after Alejandro and that testimony. I mean, Sandy, you're gonna die when you hear.
Is this the doorman?
Yes.
Yeah.
Alejandro.
I watched some of it. I did watch some of it.
You gotta watch all of it.
He was like stressing me out. He really was. So Eric said, I hear she's going to show up as Captain Jack Sparrow tomorrow.
I don't know about that, but I can see it happening. But he is stressful to watch. But once you just kind of,
babe, will you bring that up for me so we can watch it?
Alejandro. I mean, the best thing I could come up is like, seriously, you are literally reaching so far right now, trying to get an answer out of this guy that's just not there. It was ridiculous.
And I don't know who he was called for.
I was going to say, who vetted him? Like, because I know he said, I didn't read any of this, this deposition.
I think his testimony was from March. The hard part is every time they show a recording, they're all from the past. Like today's was the oldest I've ever seen. They had a deposition from someone in December, and I was like, "Wow!"
That talent agent. Did y'all feel like he was just not wanting to be there as well?
Yes, that's how I felt like that with him.
Yeah,
but he wasn't as funny.
He was like, "I'm not a lawyer, or an accountant, or something like that." Oh no, that was the CPA. He was the CPA who said, "I'm not a lawyer. I can't give."
No, the talent agent at one point was friends with both of them,
and
then
but he stayed more friends with Johnny afterwards. He said, right? He said, I hadn't talked to Amber in several years. After he was like, today's the first time I've seen her in 3-5 years. Something like that.
He just was over it and he didn't want to be there. And then y'all know that he was Lady Gaga's ex-fiance.
Yeah,
that talent agent. I had no idea.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
I didn't know that Johnny hung out with Marilyn Manson and gave him drugs to shut up.
That's freaking hilarious. I need to stay away from my friends.
That was, oh man. I was like,
You're back.
He must. Hey, Echo. He must have invited him to the that. Did y'all hear about that wedding this past weekend, where they put cannabis inside of all the wedding?
Yes. The caterer and the bride and put cannabis in the people's food, and those people that were nauseous.
Not the CBD stuff either.
Those people that were nauseous, y'all are ridiculous. Who gets nauseous?
I was gonna say, how come I couldn't get invited to this?
Right? How come I can't go to that wedding?
I live in Illinois.
Illinois.
I asked them. I said, how do people get past the drug test in Illinois? And the nurse was like, They just don't test for it. They just skip it on the testing thing. And I was like, what? She was like, yeah, they don't test for it. I was like,
Huh.
Oh my gosh, Eric, until she poked his face.
Oh,
He's here all night, kids. He's here all night.
he's like, can I
Ladies.
come on?
I know. Baby should have been in here. You're being hilarious today.
Being something.
Anyway,
All
all right, guys, we better wrap it up. We've gone a lot longer than we expected.
I
And we
can't
could probably still
wait
go
to hear what
longer.
you think about Alejandro.
Yes, I'm going to watch that before I go to bed. This is insane.
It's really
I
good.
might watch it again.
I might too now that you are, because I put it on YouTube and then I just do I've been listening to when I need to catch up, I listen to it on YouTube and do the 1.75 speed so it goes faster. Alejandro, I had to slow it down though because I was like, oh my gosh, is this
he's
really
good.
Oh,
Hopefully, I'm not so
He-
stressed
he's-
out that I can't listen.
He's the one that I want to make all the shirt quotes off of.
Oh, really? No, I want the Johnny Depp ones, especially the
I
drinking
don't
ones.
know, Alejandro. Oh,
Make it
Okay,
happen.
let me watch and then
Jeez.
we'll talk.
Okay.
But I do need a
wait,
pint.
Was he the doorman that was like, saying that Elon
Yeah.
Musk would come like in the evenings whenever Johnny wasn't there, like
Yes.
when they were married?
So is it true though? So she was having an affair
Oh,
Yes.
with Elon?
Yes.
is that what came out today? I knew she was dating
Elon
Elon.
confirmed that. Yeah.
I knew that they were dating, but I didn't know that they were having an affair.
I think she was having an affair with everybody. She was the
Oh,
village
gosh.
bicycle.
Okay.
Everybody got a ride.
For free. For free.
That's why Alejandro was like, I just don't want to do this.
Well, that's part of the histrionic personality disorder. You're seductive,
attention seeking.
Provocative.
attention-seeking whores. Not really.
You know
I don't
what
know.
was
Ankles are
interesting?
real
So
afraid
all
to
that-
be together.
They're scared of the.
all the talk on the money for the ACLU,
What?
that was all crazy too. So if I get it right, Johnny was said to given her like $4 or $7 million, but all of it was supposed to be donated to the ACLU.
Oh,
Yeah.
from the last settlement or something?
Yeah.
Did she ever? She never gave that, did she?
No, that's what they're saying. So it's weird. The way I understood it was she basically gave them about $375,000, but they were supposed to get like $4 million.
Right.
7 million.
Okay, so $7 million.
7.
But and so they were making a case today that was like, how much money did y'all get? And they were like, well, Johnny sent us $100,000 in her name. So they were like, and then she gave us $200,000 at 2 separate times, and then Elon Musk had donated $500,000 in her name, and so then they were like, so what does it mean when it's in her name? Is it as though she paid it? And they're kind of, I think that the idea here is that yes. So even though she didn't give the money that Johnny had given that's supposed to go to the ACLU, the fact that other people were donating in her name makes it seem as though
Elon gave her a car, like an
sure it's not all he
$800,000 car. Oh, wow.
gave her $500,000 too to the ACLU.
I wish I had histrionic bipolar or whatever it's called.
I wish I could just pull $44 billion out my pocket whenever I
Right,
wanted
to seduce
Yeah.
people to give me cars and shit. Eric, you can't even give me a damn car.
Eric,
All he can do is pull up Alejandro.
I know. Have you even pulled up Alejandro, Eric? Oh my gosh. So
Okay.
Rod said, great show, CPJ and Echo. Enjoyed y'all. Oh, thanks for being on here, Rod. We
Thanks,
appreciate you.
He's like,
I
"What
know.
about me?"
He's like, I've been knowing y'all for years.
Yeah.
Eric says, I don't know if y'all know, but Elon has a lot of money.
Who is this Elon you speak of?
Right. And that was one thing that friend of hers told her. He's like, well, if you wouldn't date high profile people, you wouldn't be in
Yeah.
these situations.
Yeah. If you don't like the press, then stop dating all these high profile people.
Bam. So that's why I date peasants, married peasants.
Yeah, there's that gruff part that I have also.
Oh, look, you made Rod come back on here. He's like, Jamie and Sandy enjoyed y'all too. You didn't have to tell me. I know you did.
You didn't have to tell me about Sandy.
That was
but
a-
you
that was a
definitely had to
guilt
tell me about
text.
me.
That was the guilt response.
Oh, okay. All right.
All
We
right,
lost Echo
kids.
again.
Echo is having issues.
Alrighty.
It's time for us to go. Enjoyed it all very much. Enjoyed the banter. We'll have to come back and reconvene to see what the
What we
grand
think.
finale is.
Yes.
And
I think we
Jamie?
should just come back every week just to do a recap of the week's
Yeah.
shenanigans.
we should, right? That would be me be more consistent with my show.
It'd be fun
We can't have that.
Can't be consistent
or
Okay.
fun.
or
Yeah.
fun.
I have the outro ready, Sandy, whenever you're ready.
Okay. All right, guys. Remember, let's keep talking sheet. Oh my goodness. So I'm currently watching The Girl from Plainville. That's on Hulu. This is a girl that had the boy stay in the vehicle so that he could commit suicide. It's a crazy watch. The girl was crazy.
And it's
And
so weird, as you were telling me about it, I was just listening about the real case in like the week before. I was listening,
And Amanda
Dr.
Knox
Pineapple.
actually came out and said she was wrongfully convicted, which what I've seen yet, I don't think she has, but I'm not done watching. And even when I didn't know this before, I thought she was guilty of it. So what
Yeah.
is? So anyway, that's currently what I'm watching. I also am addicted to Sex and Murder, and that's over on
Say that again?
HLN. Sex
I'm gonna make
and
a clip of
Murder.
that part right there.
Currently addicted. Hold on. Currently addicted to Sex and Murder.
I'm
It's
gonna
time
put a
to
little
go.
bubble next to
Thank
you. I'm gonna put a little bubble next to you that says, something about the under the bed. We're gonna talk about stuff that's under the bed.
Under
That's,
the bed.
we
Sex and
should.
Murder. Eric needs to go to Motel 6 where they leave the light on.
Hotel,
Holiday Inn. Everybody now.
So Rod said yes, weekly recap.
Okay,
Do it.
okay.
Rod, you need to come on here too, Rod. We need to see your face. We haven't seen you in 100
For
years.
real, man. I saw a picture of his beautiful niece because it was her birthday last
Oh,
week.
I
And the week before.
know.
I was like, oh my gosh.
So
stinking
cute. Anyway,
Yeah,
guys,
we're gonna keep
good
going.
night. CPJ,
Okay.
Echo, thanks for being on here. Y'all have
Love
a good
y'all.
one.
Hey, see you
All right.
Monday night on Social Distancing Show. Love you guys.
Bye.
Good night.